Bass Pro Marathon 2023, 441 for the seen and the unseen world. And let me take you back how it all got started. May 2nd, 2023, that was the day that I signed up for my first marathon. It came from a conversation I had with two of my really good friends, Eugene and Paul, whom both spent many hours running. After getting out from a crazy accident the year before, had a fracture in my spine, deflated lungs, torn spleen, internal bleeding, a traumatic brain injury, lost a lot of blood from my brain, I understood that I needed to continue my therapy, continue staying active to get better, to physically get better, to mentally get better. So the very first run with Eugene, he asked me, Nikita, how many miles do you want to run? And I said, let's do 1 mile. And he said, dude, I'm not taking an hour off of work to run 1 mile. We're doing 3 miles. I said, Nikita, today is gonna be your first day of doing a 5K. So we got out, we started running, and I stopped after every single mile.
Conditioning this boy.
I would walk and I would start running again. And so I ended up running 3 miles. Honestly, it was just torture. It was so hot. Missouri, probably 85, 90 degrees outside, humid. I mean, it was terrible. And it was just, it felt like torture. So finished first 5K, and I think literally my time was like 40 minutes. But it was my first 5K. There's that. It was my first time running. Whenever I was up in Minnesota, I do have a friend who, his name is Artsum. I ended up running my first half marathon with Artsum. Doing 13.1 definitely gave me a boost of just energy and just got me super stoked that, hey, if I could do 13.1, I can definitely do 26.2. I was running at about 3, 4, maybe sometimes 5 times a week. But when I got to July, I ended up experiencing a crazy knee injury. So basically all of July, I ended up not running. Beginning of August, I started to train again. And so I didn't really change anything in my running. I didn't realize what the issue was. And so I started to do more long runs, more intense speed workouts. My wife ended up going on some of these runs with me. She never ended up running, but she came with the kids. Eugene, he ran with the stroller actually one time, and it was pretty fun. My kids loved it. The first injury that I experienced was in my left knee. I actually began to experience another pain until my physical therapist said, hey dude, you probably have plantar fasciitis. That's probably what it is. I asked him, I said, hey, what can we do? Can I do anything? Like it was literally like 2 weeks out from the marathon. So he ended up taping my foot twice, and the second time it felt great. Saturday evening, I actually ended up having some friends come over, and obviously my family was there. They ended up making a bunch of posters. I was kind of getting my fuel ready, getting my gear ready, what was everything that I needed for Sunday. November 5th, 4:30 in the morning, had my pull over, packed all my stuff in the car, and my brothers actually drove me to Bass Pro, only about 20 minutes away, but we drove straight there. As I was in the corral kind of searching for my pacer, my 10:30 pacer, I actually ended up asking people, hey, do you guys see a 10:30 pacer? And people would say, and literally one of the pacers I asked, oh, the 10:30 pacer actually didn't end up showing up today. So the next pacer that you can run with is a 9:45. 45 seconds faster than what I was training for. When we were driving to the marathon, it actually started raining. And so I was like, this is what Eugene was talking about. Nikita, if it's gonna rain, are you gonna run? Are you just gonna sit on the sidelines? I remember when it was raining, I was like, you know what? I'm ready for this. I'm ready to run and do this. On mile 2, I remember, and running by the first water station, I actually ended up spilling water on my Nike Alpha Flies. So when I spilled water on my shoes, I said, listen, I think it's raining. I'm running with wet feet. Ended up coming to terms with the wet feet, kicking into gear, and then I ended up running for a solid 22 miles. I took a gel about every 2 miles. So every 2 miles there was a water station, and so I ended up taking a gel right before the water station. My family ended up kind of surprising me along the way, family and friends with different signs and banners and just kind of cheering me on. Like I said, this was the first time for me, and so first time for my family as well. Mile 22 is where everything took a turn for me. I started experiencing crazy cramps in my right calf. At that moment, I did understand and realize I should have taken salt. Now, one person that I can't be more grateful for is my brother, Philip. But I really appreciate him for mile 24. On mile 24, that's when Philip pulled up and he asked me, he said, "Nikita, do you want me to run with you?" And so he hopped out of the car and he ended up running, jogging slowly with me. And so I would start running again and again. So I was mile 24, mile 25, kind of coming up to mile 26. Finishing up that last mile, I was going through some crazy pain, specifically on my right foot because it was wrapped with, because of the plantar fasciitis. I started losing circulation in my right foot because of the tape that was wrapped around my foot. I spilled water on my feet. So I was getting crazy blister. I couldn't feel my big toe. Throughout the season, I ended up losing 3 different toenails. My feet got pretty ugly after starting to run, but listen, I just kind of learned to ignore the pain. Mile 26, and I could see the finish line. And close to the finish line, I actually could see my wife. And I told my wife a little bit earlier in the marathon, I said, "Hey, when I'm coming, I want Judah to cross the finish line with me." And so she ended up giving me Judah. And Judah and I ran across the finish line together. When I crossed that finish line, I fell to my knees and I just raised my hands to the heavens, just thanking God for this wild season of running a marathon. The time that I finished in was 4 hours and 41 minutes and 51 seconds. Obviously, I wanted to finish earlier, but because I had to slow down because of the cramps, I ended up finishing about 25 minutes later, but you know what? I was okay with that. I ran my first marathon. Now, in the very beginning, I mentioned for the seen and the unseen world. I truly believe that the world that we live in, there's a seen world and there's also an unseen world. And so it sees every situation, everything that happens in our life. And so the story of the crazy accident that I was in, and then how God healed me and allowed me to run and finish a marathon, was not just a testimony for people around me, but it was actually a testimony for the world that I don't see. And so this marathon story is for the seen and the unseen world, my journey to 26.2. So I hope this video encourages you. I hope that you understand that your body and that you can take much more than you can imagine, and you can think, and that you're capable, you can do it. Huge thanks to everybody who supported me, who continues to support me. And if this video encourages you, please go ahead and share it with your friends. Love you guys. God be all the glory. I will catch you on the next one.